8 a.m., December 7th, 1941. Commander Mitsuo Fuchida flies through heavy anti-aircraft fire over Pearl Harbor in Hawaii.
3,000 meters isn't enough to escape their flak. We're being hit! It's the control cable! Just don't make any sudden moves!
This is the climax of months of planning and training. Fuchida is leading the first attack wave of Japanese bombers against the US Navy's Pacific Fleet. The next few minutes will reveal if the Japanese plan has worked.
This is one of the most exciting places that I've ever been. As a military historian, I finally got to Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Imagine the scene, this peaceful, quiet island on a Sunday morning. The American fleet is laying at anchor. And all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. The air raid sirens start going off. Sailors, literally shaken from their bunks, race to the decks to man anti-aircraft guns against the Japanese air fleet that has just showed up. They start shooting up in the air at the high-level bombers and the dive bombers that are coming down. And some sailors manning their guns look out across the water and they see planes coming in about the same level as the deck of the ship. Torpedo bombers drop their torpedoes in the water. Imagine you're a 19-year-old sailor in the fleet, brand new to Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and you're looking out across the harbor, and all you see is a torpedo wake heading straight for your defenseless ship.
The origins of the Pearl Harbor attack lie in Japan's empire expansion during the 1930s. Short of natural resources, the Japanese embarked upon a land grab campaign in Southeast Asia.
Clear that they were starting to pursue an expansionist policy, and one that involved military conquest as well. The jungle drums were starting to be beaten.
In 1937, Japan invaded China, a long-term ally of the United States. American military bases in the Philippines suddenly looked under potential threat from the Japanese. In spring 1940, the USA moves its Pacific Naval Fleet from San Diego to Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, 2,000 miles closer to Japan. One of the most powerful fleets in the world is now an imminent threat to Japan's imperialist plans. Ignoring it isn't an option. But the Japanese don't have the resources for a long, drawn-out war. They need to find another way to solve the problem.
Now the United States is much closer to the Japanese mainland. That being said, the Japanese also see that as an opportunity. If the American fleet is in San Diego, the Japanese cannot reach it. But if it's Hawaii, perhaps there's an opportunity for Japan to strike and sink the American fleet at Pearl Harbor.
January 7th, 1941. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, chief of the Imperial Japanese Navy's combined fleet, is considering an idea for an incredible plan. He writes a letter to Japan's Navy minister.
The Navy should fiercely attack and destroy the US fleet at the outset of the war.
Yamamoto is suggesting a surprise air attack on the US Navy in Hawaii.
The morale of the USA would sink to the extent it could not be recovered.
But for this plan to work, Japan must hit hard, fast, and first.
Yamamoto's plan is certainly extremely bold, but he recognizes that it is only by such a bold strike, a lightning strike which completely could knock the Americans off their feet, that they have any chance of ultimate success.
The primary objectives are the mighty battleships and aircraft carriers of the US Pacific Fleet, moored 4,000 miles from Japan at Pearl Harbor. The distance alone makes this an extraordinary challenge.
When Yamamoto first actually starts publishing his plan, it makes the rounds within the senior staff of the Japanese Navy, and most of them think it's crazy.
It's never been done before in the history of warfare. If you look at the scale of distances to carry all these airplanes all the way from Japan, several thousand miles to the Hawaiian Islands, it just seemed like it couldn't be done.